Okay, so hello everybody. Oh, I'm properly spinning on these. I should have sat on that a minute ago, shouldn't I? Hello everybody. Thank you for coming to watch our talk today. So today we're going to talk around marketing myths. So are there sort of things that you've heard that might be stopping you producing better campaigns, maybe using certain tactics, applying certain strategies? So we're going to expose 6 common marketing myths that we hear from e-commerce marketers today, but then we're essentially going to sort of chat around some of the things that can help you overcome and banish, so to speak, these myths in aid for help you sort of become a better marketer, and as the title sort of says, hit those all-important marketing targets as well. So really quickly, who are you listening to today? So I'm Rachael, the marketing director at RedEye, and so me and my marketing team, as well as putting out content around our marketing platform, we're always putting out content around how marketers can improve their campaigns and hit those marketing targets. And I'm joined today by my colleague Danni.
Hi everybody, I'm Danni Hunt. I'm head of multi-channel at RedEye. Some of you might remember Rachel and I were here last year and we were giving out marketing tips on how to do that during cost of living crisis. So we did get some nice comments after that, so hopefully you'll enjoy some of our insights today.
Yeah, and Danni's been at RedEye for a very long time, super experienced in all things campaigns, so she's got lots of ideas and tips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially pose these myths to her as questions and get her to sort of, overload you with lots of ideas and things that hopefully you can take away today. So let's get into the first one then. So the first myth that we're addressing today is acquisition is more important than retention. Now, obviously, acquisition is important depending on the stage of your business growth, those businesses that are just starting out and growing and growing and growing. So yes, you want to acquire loads, but you don't want a database full of single purchases, right? There's no point in that at all. So Danni, let's start with this myth then. So is a focus on acquisition, would you say, the most important factor for sort of business growth?
Well, naturally, everybody wants to grow their database and everybody thinks, if I have more records, then I'm going to generate more revenue. But actually, that's not necessarily the case. So I did some research and I had a look at the figures for August, and the average cost per acquisition for a retailer was nearly £50. And that could actually be your average order value. So in fact, it is actually extremely expensive. And what a lot of people forget is that actually 70% of all of your revenues are coming from existing customers, so that VIP segment. So I would alternatively try and grow that VIP segment instead. So there are a number of ways that you can do this. Essentially, you need to make it easier for them to carry on making additional purchases, okay? So you want to avoid that leaky bucket of those new acquisitions who do something once and then just disappear, never to be seen again, because that's going to cost you more in the long run, okay? So for existing customers, make sure that you've got a post-purchase campaign. Pretty obvious, but a lot of people don't bother doing that. Replenishment always works really well. Pretty much all products have a shelf life, so replenishment campaigns do, in fact, enhance that additional purchase. If you've got a loyalty scheme, make sure you put that content in all of your comms, okay? But make sure that it's tangible. So if somebody's got 100 points, what exactly does that mean, okay? It doesn't, give it some value, okay? And then, of course, review data. Our friends Trustpilot here, and we know for sure it's been proven that if you've got good reviews in your comms, it's going to encourage further purchases, okay? And then, of course, not to forget, all of your immediate upsell, cross-sell opportunities, Rachael, and of course making sure that always that the content that you're delivering is relevant for them at whatever part of that customer journey, and a great automation tool can make that happen for you.
Yeah, so your big takeaway there is probably VIPs then. So yes, retention's important, but not retention of everybody, not just doing your batch and blast campaigns and trying to get repeat purchases from everybody. It's trying to understand, which are the right customers to then grow and retain. So that's the focus for that one. So then the second myth is if I send more emails, do I get better results? So people often think the more and more that I can send, then surely the more revenue that I can bring in. Well, not necessarily, okay? So it's always about sending the right personalized content to the right segments. So Danni, then, what's your thoughts on this one, on sending more emails is the only way to get better results?
Okay, it always comes up at this time of the year because, of course, we're going to be hitting peak soon. Nobody panic, but yes, we are going to be hitting peak again, okay? And there's this massive temptation because you look at your database and you think, look at all these records I've got, all of these email addresses, and I've got email permit. Let's just send them something, okay? So that's going to be really detrimental to your deliverability and to your inbox placement, especially at this time of the year, okay? So the smarter option is to continue to focus on those engagement opportunities, okay? The ones that I previously talked about, so all those customer life cycles, okay? If you start bulk emailing, the ISPs have certain algorithms in place, so they will notice that your engagement, your opens and clicks are not as they should be, okay? So they can identify records that are actually disengaged, and if they do that, they will start slowing down the delivery of your campaigns to a point where they will stop delivering them altogether, and that's going to have an immediate effect on your active data, which include those lovely VIPs that we want to retain time and time again, okay? The good news is there are certain products out there that can help you sort of mitigate a lot of this. So first of all, Rachel, we've got something called frequency optimization. So if you do have a disengaged record that suddenly clicks on something and looks like they're interested in your brand again, what we don't want to do is start bombarding them with loads and loads of messaging immediately, because all they're going to do is just hit the unsubscribe button. So frequency optimization will basically do this sort of drip feed back into that active segment and reintroduce the brand to them. So that's always useful. And then there's this one I love, send time optimization, okay? So we have a number of brands that have started to use this. All this means is you send out your lovely campaign, let's say to 100,000 people at 7 o'clock in the morning, okay? We know, because we've got the data, that you, Rachel, like opening your emails at 9 o'clock in the morning with your coffee, okay? But I am more likely to open my personal and my marketing emails at 5 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm about to sit down and watch The Chase with Bradley, okay? So, Rach, we hit send at 7 o'clock in the morning, but you get yours at 9 and I get mine at 5. Send time optimization, that's really fun. And then, again, customer life cycles over all your mass bulk mailing definitely need to take priority, okay? All the time.
Lots in there, but I think what you said at the very beginning around peak is so important, because that is exactly when all of us as marketers, we think to ramp up volume and we ramp up quantity because you've got these really, really, really high targets. We've got to, we've got to surpass Black Friday like last year, but just obviously take up the advice that Danni's just said, and not always more emails is better, and there's some tools and functionality and things like that, and features and functions, shall I say, that can help sort of manage frequency around those key points. But then also automation as well. So we know that some of our clients can see up to 60% of their email revenue come from their automated campaigns versus their BAUs, right? And we all know your automations go to smaller segment sizes, they're delivered to less people because they're more relevant, so either more personalized, or they're more just relevant to that stage of the customer life cycle. So think about automations as well, to sort of think about managing the amount of emails and the amount of emails that are delivered. So the third one then, personalization is complicated. Now I know this is a personal favorite of Danni, you are the queen of personalization, but yeah, this is a myth, okay? And now we're not talking about hello first name, because I'm hoping that everybody listening here is way past that and automatically doing that. We're on about personalizing multiple content areas within an email. So you essentially have one email canvas that you send out, and it becomes individual to everybody in that segment that receives it. And that is all the great stuff that you marketers can do, but sometimes you think, well, that's a bit too complicated, I don't want to do that. But that's why, Danni, then, you're here today to tell everyone it's not so complicated, and this is a myth.
Well, I like to make it complicated. I like to create all these complex algorithms and create all this bespoke individual messaging. Yeah, I do love it, but that's after lots of years of coding, etc. But honestly, it has to be, you have to start somewhere, and the first place you need to start is to just simply start talking to your customers versus your prospects in a different way, okay? So if you can identify that they've at some point made a sale, talk to them completely differently to those people who've just signed up and who are just browsing, okay? Your customers, you need to nurture them. You need to encourage them to make a second or third purchase. Again, increasing that VIP segment, okay? Your prospects, they've not spent any money with you. You need to set their expectations and potentially incentivize them to get over the first hurdle, okay? Once you've done your customer prospect split, then try and look at your multi-purchases, your VIPs, because for those guys, really you should be sending them a love letter. You know, you need to make sure that they always love you and respond to you and just keep purchasing time and time again, okay? So, yeah, again, automation tools will do all this for you, but if you can't do it, please ensure that you split your has purchased against your has not purchased, and then start with the fundamentals.
Yeah, and some of the things that you can do, can't you? Like just, you know, in your email header could literally just switch out dynamically to those VIPs. So when a VIP opens up, it acknowledges them in some which way. Or a lot of retailers now have unlimited delivery. So do you know which segment of your customers have unlimited delivery? Is that a banner that's dynamically swapping in and out of that email? So those that have unlimited delivery already, it's going to make that a quick and easy, seamless purchase for them. And if they don't, then there's your upsell opportunity within that email. So it's just small sort of personalization like that, which actually is quite sophisticated, but it's not as complex as you may all think. And obviously everything's all around those sort of little nudges, because your customer, if you think about it, when they open up that email, they just want to know that the brand knows who they are, and those are the small subtle personalization things that can work. I always say they want to receive marketing messages that make sense to them, and I think that's a good way to think about it. So the fourth one then, very topical at the moment. You can't open up LinkedIn without somebody talking around AI, and we have to hold our hands up at RedEye. We've got lots of content around AI at the moment. Oh, I'm pretty sure you've heard it from God knows how many talks this morning. So AI, it is scaring some marketers. Some people are thinking, oh my God, is it going to take over our jobs? Now this is a myth. And I actually read something on LinkedIn a few months ago, which I think perfectly sums this up, that AI is not going to take over our job as marketers, but the marketers that are using AI, they might do, because they're seeing the advantages that you can get for it. So, Danni, then, but what's your opinion? Do you think AI is replacing all of us marketers?
No, don't think so. I mean, I do think AI it is a scary topic, because we were all expecting it to happen. For some reason this year, it sort of landed on everybody's laps, and everybody's panicking, thinking, we don't have any AI going on, you know, what can we do? Who should we go and talk to about it, etc., etc. And there's still a lot of sort of mystery around it and everything. But really, I just think it's just going to make our jobs so much easier and more effective to execute. So, you know, we'll be able to make better data decisions, okay? Faster, smarter insights, you know, and all of this, of course, is going to lead to higher conversion rates and engagement rates for everybody, which is what we're all after, okay? So that's really good. And I think for internally, for lots and lots of brands, for most businesses, in fact, I just think you're going to see things like increased service levels, okay? We're all going to become more cost effective. Even things like minimizing waste and, you know, more effective logistically overall, okay? And then just think about the improvements in our marketing platforms, okay? So one example, imagine it can be such an annoying task. You've got this amazing creative and you just upload it, press a button, and you know AI will give you, you know, the best subject line, the magical subject line that will just optimize the open rates for your campaign. AI will do that for us. Okay, another one. Everybody hates testing. You know, it's a laborious task, and then you've got to analyze the results, and then it has to be what is it? Statistically. Can never say it. I've got it. Statistically significant at all times. So imagine if AI did all that for you. It's all running in the background. It's always up to date, and you don't have to lift a finger. You know, so you know, in that sense, you know, AI is going to really, really help. And of course, predictive. We've already got predictive, Rach. So these are fantastic algorithms. Will allow you to point out an individual's likelihood to do the next event. So whether that's make their first purchase, go on to be a VIP, their customer lifetime value, or even if they're likely to unsubscribe. So that as well opens up all this multi-channel opportunities out there. So yeah, I don't think it's going to might take over your job. It's not going to take over my job. It's just going to make it, it's just going to make it, much more enhanced and, super effective.
Well, I think with AI, the most exciting part for us marketers is predictive analytics. So as Danny was just covering at the end there. So for example, at RedEye, we've got 8 predictive models, but the most popular model is our predictive churn model. So it looks at your database and it can predict which customers are showing signs of a high likelihood to churn. So then you can then trigger your reactivation campaign to those customers at their own individual moment of a potential lapse in, rather than a lot of us send our reactivation campaigns on a business time frame that we choose. So we go, oh, actually, well, customers lapse if they haven't purchased within 12 months. Let's send them that campaign then. Well, yes, you might recoup some customers, but actually there's probably a huge proportion of customers you might have already lost by that point when you've got to 12 months. So predictive in that way can help you secure more customers and can obviously send those messages at the right sort of time. We've got a case study on our website. One of our clients, All Beauty, used this model to great success. So if you want to go on the website and take a look at that as well, that's got some interesting stats in that. So Danny was just covering it a little bit there with testing. So this is our 5th myth then, is testing risky? And I think this is quite a surprising one, really. And I think it's probably because, as marketers, we set up, 2 variants, let's say, and one of those variants will always be less favorable. It'll bring in less results, maybe less revenue. So is that the reason why we think maybe it's a bit risky to a certain extent? But I think it's about a change in mindset. It really is thinking about, okay, testing is helping with the incremental improvements, and obviously in the long run to improve your sort of campaign performance. But Danny, what do you then think then? Is testing risky, or is this just a big myth?
Yes, it definitely can be risky for 2 main reasons. Okay, testing, it's very important. It has to be done, and as I said before, hopefully AI will take all of the hard work out of it for us. Okay, and the other thing is nobody in the team wants to do it. Okay, it's because it is just like that. But it is risky for 2 main reasons, okay? But the first is if testing is just done only once or for a very short period of time, okay? So I still see lots and lots of marketeers who base their entire campaign strategy on a test that they ran years and years ago, okay? So that's absolute madness, because there are lots of external influences that happen all the time that will affect those test results, so it's just not going to be relevant anymore. So it can be even things like the news or the weather or cost of living crisis or fashions and trends, things like that. All of that is going to affect that test. So don't do it just once. That's just a horrible, that just makes me panic. The other reason why it's risky is people try and put too many changes into one test, okay? So essentially, as you know, the more variables you add in, the less conclusive that test is. So yeah, definitely can be risky, but done well, it can definitely improve all of your opens and conversion rates, as you expect. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think maybe also people think, well, I don't actually know what to test. Sometimes it's like, people just default to the subject line sometimes, but there's so many other things that you can test to try and get all these incremental improvements. I recently did a podcast with one of our campaign managers. We've got this campaign series called What's Stopping You. It's on our YouTube if you want to watch it. But essentially we covered what's stopping you sending better campaigns. And he said there, it's testing. And sometimes people don't know what to test, whereas you can test, anything. So people might be testing, okay, put an emoji in a subject line, yes or no. But if you thought about the type of emoji, because there's different emojis to represent the same thing sometimes, small things like that. Or your CTA buttons. He recently did a test with a client on a rounded button versus a square button, put in the amount in the button, the text, the copy, the color. There's so many things that I think you can test. So as sort of Danny's saying, it's putting a testing plan in place, and it's incremental, tweaks and improvements, but continually doing that to see what your customer base is going to sort of react to at that moment in time as well. On to our 6th myth then, is discounts is the only way to incentivize a purchase. So this obviously isn't true. There are some customers that will only probably purchase with you with a discount, but the key word there is some customers, so not all of your customers. So if you're whacking discount codes here, there and everywhere in all of your comms and emails and sales and campaigns, then if you think about it, you're probably losing out on revenue from some of those customers that actually might have been prepared to pay full price. So if we think about this final myth then Danni, so what are some of the other ways that maybe people can incentivize a purchase if they want to move away from discounts?
Yeah, so definitely don't undersell your products, okay? And I know that too many incentives basically just cheapen your brand. And what happens is, if you discount all of the time, there's just sort of no essence of that customer receiving a bargain at all. You're just making it null and void. I know that 70% of basket ads are actually abandoned, so you need to ask yourself, why are they doing that? The number one reason why people abandon their basket is they've had this full intention to purchase, they've gone through the whole sales funnel, they get to the checkout page, and then they're faced with a delivery charge, and they don't want to pay it. So what you want to ask yourself, if you're offering, let's say, 10% off their first purchase, and it equates pretty much to that delivery charge, then test and change the message, okay? Because everybody's an individual. I know that in my head, if I got free delivery rather than 10% discount, I'll be happy with that and I'll go on to purchase. But I will get annoyed if I have to pay £5, £6 delivery charge. Okay, so it's just a case of mixing it up, and it sounds obvious, but yeah, change the message in that sense, okay? If you do incentivize, please try and use unique voucher codes. That way that you can actually manage them and make sure that people are just getting what they need. And of course, you can also use predictive to only serve incentives to those people who are likely to need them. So this is all sort of tying up now, okay? If you can't incentivize using sort of monetary terms, okay, there are other means to drive that purchase, okay? And these can be, creating a sense of urgency, so things like social proofing, the little pop-ups that come up to say, only 5 of these left in stock, or 16 people have been looking at this, this hour. You can sort of invite them to a club of sort of special previews. That always works well. Bonus loyalty points if you do have a loyalty scheme. Doesn't cost you anything, but it means, so much more to them. And of course, you've got teaser campaigns. Teaser campaigns, really simple. They work all the time, okay? Everybody loves the idea that they're getting something special, okay? And of course, don't forget multi-channel, okay? We're not just talking about email. You need to be contacting your customers and prospects in all different sorts of ways in order to get them over that first hurdle. So yeah, just think like a consumer and go with that.
Yeah. And I think as well is value-added content, okay? So sometimes customers just need maybe extra ideas or advice, just that little nudge. And again, we've got a great case study on our website of one of our clients, Travelodge, added value-added content to their basket abandonment journey. So they started to add information around the local area, around their hotels, the local amenities. That boosted their bookings far more than when they added discount codes in. So sometimes people need that, I said, that extra information. A lot of brands did this over COVID. They put, because there wasn't such a drive on conversions, and so they were thinking about what extra content can I add. And then I think everyone slipped back into that conversion sort of led approach, which is fine, but obviously, if you're a clothing business, you can send style tips. If you have food, you can send cooking tips. There's lots of ideas of things that you could add as a value add into your content and campaigns as well to incentivize a purchase. So I did say that we were going to do 6 myths, but I've got one more bonus myth for you all. And it's that it's easier to stick with the marketing platform that you have than change, okay? So you need to think about this. Maybe are you not getting the functionality that you need? You're maybe not getting the creative ideas. Maybe you're not hitting your marketing targets, okay? That is all the most ideal opportunity to essentially look around. And so this is a myth that it's easier to stick with what you've got, because actually moving can be quite seamless and straightforward and have no customer impact. And you've got to really think about your technology spend. Are you getting those sort of year-on-year growth that you sort of need? So who are we? we are RedEye. We are a multi-channel marketing platform. So if that sounds something interesting for you, we'd love you. We're just over there to come and have a chat with us. So we'd love to show you our multi-channel marketing platform. But one of the key things that we like to sort of say is one of our USPs at RedEye is actually the creative ideas and advice that we give all our clients and support. So hopefully we've shown that today by giving you lots of good ideas and tips that you can take away. But we'd love to speak to anyone who is interested. So that is it. So thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you've taken away a few ideas. I don't know if we've got time for questions. No, the guy's shaking his head. But if anyone did have any questions, myself and Danny will be over at our stand. Feel free to come and chat to us. Thank you.
Thanks.